Honestly, I keep saying this. Sometimes I don't know where some of these African immigrants are actually getting their grant from. I don't know if it because of the way we are literally brought up, the mentality of what we really know about white folks. I don't know. But what really amazes me is the level of hatred they have for foundational Black Americans, especially when it comes to African immigrants. And sometimes I look into every single thing and I ask myself, why of all people, it is going to be people that actually built the country, people that actually pave way for you to be there, people that are actually doing everything in their possible best for you to be comfortable. Why, in all sense, you, these African immigrants, idolize white folks as if they are the alpha, the author, and the finisher of your fate, and not even recognizing people that literally look like you. I feel like most of this hatred started when foundational Black Americans said they don't actually want to identify themselves with African American because they are from different parts of the world that have been enslaved. So it's just a whole lot. But first of all, I want you guys to watch this particular video because this Black American man broke everything down. And I also have some couple of people that also said this and other things that I feel like it will be good enough to educate a lot of Black immigrants out there, and also just get some of the most important thing that needs to be passed out there. Anyways, first, hi guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Sonia. Subscribe, like, comment, and share. Credit belongs to the original creators of every single clips and stitches we have in our today's episode. And with that being said, let's dive right into this video, and I'll be back with commentaries. So let's go watch, guys.
Do you know where a lot of Africans make their mistake when it comes to foundational Black Americans? They come to this country with arrogance, disrespect, talking down on foundational Black Americans about we don't have a culture, we don't know who we are, and all of that nonsense, trying to Africanize us, forcing us to claim Africa. That's the wrong way. And you see that you get a lot of resistance back from foundational Black Americans. I remember when Africans had a lot of support and a lot of foundational Black Americans respected Africans. But then something changed, man. It's not just one or two or three or a few people that's lashing out against Africans, mainly Nigerians. But it's like a great bulk or majority of foundational Black Americans that are against Africans. And there's a reason behind that. Now, if you look at the Asian community and the Middle Eastern community, they were able to come to this country and make a great deal amount of money off the Black community. They would come in, they would set up in the Black community, and they would make money. Black and Asians and Middle Easterns got along pretty well. But then the Africans came in, and Black Americans, very few Black Americans will support them, but they really didn't want to give Africans any type of business. As a matter of fact, there's some Africans here locally that tried to open a store or maybe even a mobile station, and they had to actually put Arabs or Middle Eastern people in there to run it for them because they weren't getting the support of foundational Black Americans. And there's a reason behind that. It's the disrespect that they show towards the same people that they expect to support their businesses. Because if your people were supporting your business, there would be no need for you to come to America. You would do well from where you came from. But you travel all the way overseas just to disrespect the same people, the locals, the foundational people here, the ones you expect to give you business. You come here and disrespect and look down upon and feel that we need you, when in reality we don't. We've gone over 400 years, over 500 years without you. We've survived through just about everything. And here it is, you come here and just think that we ought to just bow down to you because you're from the continent of Africa, right? And that's wrong. That's the wrong way to approach things. If you had came here humble, we're not looking for anyone to kiss our behinds or, we're not looking for that. Just respect. Now, you don't see the Asians going through that. You don't see the Middle Easterns going. I could take you to a Middle Eastern business right now or an Asian business, and Black Americans are supporting them with no problem. They know them by name. Every now and then you may have a situation where you find one or two Black Americans get into it with an Asian or a Middle Eastern, but not too often. They were able to sit up in this community and do well. But the Africans come here, the Nigerians come here with a very haughty attitude. And Black Americans frown upon that. I remember when I went overseas, when we Americans went overseas, number one, they didn't allow us to get involved in their politics. You have Africans here that get involved in the politics here, and then like when that reparation topic come up, the Africans that are now in American political system, they quickly like, oh, I reject it. Black Americans should not get reparations. How are you going to come here and dictate what we get? And Black Americans were the ones that voted you in the office in the name of blackness, thinking that they're supporting you and that you were going to support us. But instead, you got in position now and look down your nose at Black Americans and only support the people that come from where you came from and other immigrants. See, you can't do that, man. And see, that's the problem that a lot of Africans are having here in this country. Is like they're very arrogant and disrespectful. When I went to other countries, man, it's like I went there with respect, humbled them. I'm very, very humble, respectful to the people. And then when it was time for me to leave, I left. See, I didn't go there trying to look down on the locals because I'm an American. I didn't do that. But yet, Nigerians and Africans come here and they do that in America. And I think that's one of the big reasons why a lot of y'all are being banned, especially with the Nigerian frauds. And y'all talk about doctors, and engineers, but a lot of y'all are getting busted, man, for having fake license, right? You getting busted for scams and frauds. So that's the reason why I think a lot of Africans are getting kickbacks from foundational Black Americans, because you come in here, you came wrong. You came with the wrong energy. And now you got a lot of Black Americans now are starting to band together against you. You're going to have a few that's going to support you. But then for the most part, watch your business start deteriorating.
Africans hate Black Americans. The lies y'all tell. The lies. Listen, I know that there are bad apples in every group throughout the diaspora. Shout out to the FBAs. But when I went to Africa, South Africa, Johannesburg, got so much love. Buti Wami, which is my brother, like respect. They accepted me. They gave me a Zulu name, Kanya, which means the light. Look, I'm living it right now. I'm a living testament. It made me immediately see that was a lie that America sells us to kind of create this division, right? And that's what they do. They conquer with divisiveness and fear. And so I immediately was like, no, that's not true. They love us. And ain't no they. We are one. We are them. We are African too. They say, look, you are African too. You just got on the ship. That's the only, some of us, that's the only difference. The shit is the only difference that separates us. And so when you want to go to Africa, of course, do your research. Of course, it's good to know somebody. We can use these platforms. I have a group. If you want to join, DM me. That connects Black Americans with Africans throughout the diaspora. or I'll say American Africans. Shout out to the Dr. Umar. But yeah, so it's something that they sell us to make us not want to go there, to deter us, and to create this unwarranted hatred that's a lie. And so I say to you, before you decide that someone hates you or something is bad, try it yourself. But you can just go outside and see that ain't true, right? And so you gotta stop allowing social media to program you and brainwash you into thinking that something is bad unless you absolutely tried it yourself. Stay blessed. Stay tuned for my journey.
Views on Tariq Nasheed, because he's got this thing called Foundational Black American.
Yeah.
What is that about? Because I feel like that's pure division, if I'm not going to.
It is. But I get it. I don't agree with it, but I get it. This is what it is. There were too many black people from outside Africa, from outside America, going to America and playing the arse. And what it is African Americans spotted this and spotted that there's a consistent pattern. Black Caribbeans, black people from Africa going to America and being the arse. And what the FBA agenda is putting up a wall and saying, no, you guys can't be a part of this if you're going to be on that, raccoon train.
When you say playing the arse, what? Because from what I know, a lot of Africans, a lot of Caribbeans who go there, academically, they're surpassing them. And also business-wise, they're surpassing them. So who was playing the arse?
When they then use that to say, well, that means that you African Americans are lazy. Do you see?
Yes.
And then being on some right-wing conservatism, let's throw African Americans under the bus.
That is true.
Let's pretend that Jim Crow didn't happen, redlining didn't happen, breaking up of African American business districts, breaking up of African American families. The COINTELPRO didn't happen. The Iran Contras and then moving drugs into the black community didn't happen. Yeah. And there's a whole list of things continuing right up until now that the American government has done to African Americans. And so for those black people recently arrived from outside America, you all didn't face any of that. So of course you're going to be doing better than African Americans. Duh.
Yeah. But not all of them can be affected by this. There's always got to be certain people who rise above it, regardless of what the situation is. It's just the natural nature thing. Weeds grow through gardens, you name it. Mm-hmm. Why do you think it is that a country like Jamaica or Africa, where they too have had their deprivations, had their colonialism, had their slavery, why do they go somewhere and tend to excel amongst people who also have gone through it?
Because you're not comparing like with like. That's why.
Okay.
A lot of us think we are comparing like with like. You're not. Let me explain. Generally speaking, Caribbeans in America, not the ones in the Caribbean, but the ones in America, will represent the top 10%.
I see.
So if you're really going to compare like with like, you have to compare the top 10% of Caribbeans with the top 10% of African Americans.
Okay.
And when you compare the two, the African Americans are slaughtering us, bro. It's not even close. It's a massacre. But what it is we compare the top 10% with your average African American. You're not comparing like with like. And if you compare your average African American, you're 51, you got 1 to 100 and Mr. number 51. Number 51 is richer by a factor of 20 than your average Jamaican. Do you see? So what happens is it's a perception thing. Now let's be clear. We can all point to people from outside America, go to America and rise. Yeah. Colin Powell did that. Kamala Davy Harris has done that, whatever. But you can't pretend that's typical. Do you see?
Yeah.
But what happens is because we live in a world where people don't really have full pictures, you can take the exception, use that to smack around African Americans' faces. You know, this guy just got off the boat. He's doing better than you. Not realizing, but for my man to have got on the boat in the first place, he wasn't typical of the country that he was coming from. He was in the top echelons of that country. Do you see?
Yeah.
And the same is true also with people from Africa going to Black America. So if we're going to compare the top 10%, let's compare the top 10%. And when we do that, African Americans are slaughtering us.
Have known these people for less than 48 hours, and you already trying to use them.
I had to respond to this because I've seen many black Brits say so many nasty things for Black Americans. And I've also seen some black Brits say some really positive things about Black Americans. And generally, the difference between the pros and the negatives when it comes to black Brits is if they know history and if they've been to America. That's it. That's the difference. One group understands more of the cultural nuance, and the other group has a lens on Black America, and their understanding of Black America comes from the internet and social media. This gentleman, unfortunately, the entirety of his opinion on Black Americans, and many people like him, if you see a comment or you see a video about Black Americans and it's negative, I can almost guarantee you they don't know many Black Americans, and they don't know Black American history, and they haven't been here. And if you see some that are positive, I would garner to say they know and understand a little bit more. Because it is really easy as a person here in America to understand why they're wrong. So what I'm gonna do, instead of disrespect all black Brits, or anybody who's African who doesn't like Black Americans, I'm not gonna return that. I don't think that's what the Most High would want from me. But what I can do is I can put you on game if you're willing to listen. First and foremost, cultural nuance. I'm going to start at the end and then go back to the beginning. So number one, there is a group called the FBA in America. They stand for Foundational Black Americans. This is a newer kind of movement. It's been around for a while, but it's really starting to pick up steam. This group of Black Americans does not acknowledge or believe that they have African blood. They are Black American first, and they are for Black Americans first, even if you don't believe that sentiment. So an example would be, I would be considered a foundational Black American because I am a product of chattel slavery. But I don't believe that. I believe that I have African blood. I believe I came from Africa. Now, most Black Americans don't necessarily buy into that. I'm going to repeat that. Most Black Americans, in fact, a majority of Black Americans are not FBA. They may appreciate the love from FBA because they're so Black American first, but they don't believe that they're not from Africa. The problem is this: the FBA is really loud, and they will comment really quickly, and they will make a video really fast. And so if you are internet based, like this gentleman seems to be, then when you see that, you go, oh, that's what they think. But in real life experience, in the real world, you'd be hard pressed to take 1,000 Black people, put them in a room and ask them what FBA means, and they all get it right. In the real world. And it depends on the region you live in, because the regions are so drastically different in America for Black people that it really changes how people think and what they know. But it also, you say like the things like Black Americans are colonizers. They're the colonizers of the Black diaspora. That's so ignorant that I don't even know if I want to put a whole bunch of time on it, but you can't live here and believe that. You can't know Black Americans and believe that. Once again, that is internet and TikTok logic. And I would suggest, I do have a video on my page specifically about are Black Americans colonizers. That's so far from the truth. Like, if the one thing that you can blame Black Americans for is minding their own business to a fault. I'll give you that. I say, yeah. And sometimes being, falling into the hands of the enemy. Yeah, we could do that. But I'm gonna tell you something. You pegged us wrong on that. And the crazy thing is, even though I'm telling you this, even though I've had my entire life here, even though I'm from downtown Newport News, which is an extremely black area of Newport News, Virginia, even though I've gone to majority black schools, even though I've gone to 2 HBCUs, even though I have a black wife and I go to a black church, and most of the people I know are black. Even though all that, I'm sure many black Brits gonna look at this video if they see it, because not a lot of people see my videos, but I'm sure if a black Brit who did not believe this saw my video, they'd go, nope, you're wrong, I'm right, because I saw it on the internet. And to those people, I would say, man, that's is what it is, man. I think it's nasty work, but you got it. But I will end with this. One thing about black Americans, and probably about all black people in the diaspora, but especially black Americans, is that we typically don't start things. There are outliers. There are people, I say this in my other videos, there are people who will start stuff and who will go out and get into other people's business. But collectively as a whole, you gotta understand most black people are just minding their business. But I will say this, we are not the type of people who will start a lot of stuff with other people outside of our culture. But man, we will end it. And I'm gonna tell you something. Black Americans would dig their own grave to end a conflict with somebody else. So, for example, I'm sure there are a lot of black Americans who've seen the response from black Brits and go, where is this coming from? And then got offended. And now they're going to do everything in their power to end it. Because they're like, nah, you don't know me like that. That's a big thing here. You don't know me like that. Most black Americans aren't going to come, I don't think, with this perspective, with my mindset. Because I've been looking and I've been seeing comments. I've been replying to some people, and I've made many videos about this because it's very interesting to me. I have a great love for the black diaspora, and my goal is to get to Africa, to stay in Africa, right? And so I see this, and I just feel like, man, the cultural nuance of the black American and the education and history of the black American is so unknown. It has to be. There's no way you could know the things you know about us, know people like us, and think this way. It's impossible. It's an impossibility, right? So, yeah, that's it, man. I think you're throwing the baby out with the bathwater because of FBAs. And look, I know some FBA people who aren't even like that. So, like I said, sometimes the loudest people are the minority, and then that's what everybody thinks about them. And this is something that happens to black Americans a lot. The very worst of us is marketed. The very worst of us is put on the pedestal and put out to the world and blasted to the world. We deal with this in our own country with white Americans. And so this is almost par for the course, but at the same time, it's just not true. Oh, and let me just add this real quick. The part about seeing Scottish black people as pets, I think you're taking the way we talk and the way we show interest. I think you're taking it in a way that maybe y'all speak, because when we talk like that, this is just how we talk about things that we like. And if we call another black person cousin, it's because we see y'all as like extended family across the pond. So, for example, if like Caribbeans are separated from black Americans by a boat stop, and so we know that you go back in history, we could have been brothers, cousins, you know what I'm saying? And that we were separated on purpose. And so we know that certain Africans, it could be the same thing. But really, the way we are talking as a people, it's a term, it's speech in terms of endearment. And again, you pegged this wrong with that. It's just the way we talk. Y'all might not speak the same way. I don't know if y'all have considered this, that we might just speak differently. And so we speak like this. I can't speak for everybody independently, as you can't speak for anybody independently from where you live. I'm not sure if you're African or if you are Black British, but my point is that it's normal to do this. And we have not seen Scottish black people on the screen. This is a cool thing. It's genuinely a cool thing. We don't want them to be pets, man. That's wild. And for the people getting on black Americans, for calling them cousins, like it's diabolical, bro. Like it's nasty. I'm only gonna comment on what it looks like. I'm not gonna tell you what you think and how you feel, but I will say it doesn't look good. It looks like pure hate. And I'm like, yo, that's a term of endearment over here. Don't y'all do that? Don't y'all call people cousins? Like, did y'all grow up calling all black people that you cool with and that your mama cool with and that your dad cool with your cousin? Like, that's like, oh, that's love. That's what it is. Like, oh, that's my cousin over there. Like, is that your cousin? And then we'll say, is that your cousin? Or is that your cousin? Right? And that's what we're asking. Is this like your blood cousin, or is this like your homie, friend, family friend? So the more you know, right?
True black Africans and African Americans do not claim black Americans. We are not the same. African.
We got another example, man. This woman is from Africa. I don't know which country in Africa she's from, but she's basically, going on a rant talking about how African Americans blame the white man for everything, and they complain and they're lazy. The same rhetoric, the same nonsense, man. You feel me? But when it's time to reap civil rights, when it's time to get basic, decent respect for being from Africa in the United States, when you come here, just remember to say thank you to African Americans, because it wasn't your ancestors, it was their ancestors that did this, that made it possible. It's like people like them they just have so much hate and jealousy for African Americans, and they just look down on them, but they don't want to think for a second and say, well, in the United States, if they don't discriminate on me based on my race as hard as they used to, who worked for that? Who established that? If they don't segregate schools between black and white and I can go in white spaces, who worked for that? If I'm given an opportunity as a minority being from Africa, scholarships, these opportunities, and I applied for it and I got it and I was able to go to school on a scholarship, these people don't think, who made that possible? They come, they eat, and then once they're done eating, they don't say thank you, man. They're just a bunch of ungrateful, dusty-ass people, man.
My African friend explained to me that a lot of Africans don't like African Americans, and that's simply a difference in culture. So let me explain how I discovered this. My friend and me were sitting down at an IHOP at about 3 o'clock in the morning, and I invited him out. He said, "Thank you. I appreciate you. You are very kind." I said, "No problem, bro. I appreciate you." He says, "So you are from Africa, and why you don't have the accent?" I said, "Well, I've been here long enough to where I kind of adapted a Midwestern accent, and I kind of lost the African accent." He said, okay, I understand, okay." So we were talking, and he said, "Oh, look at those hood rats over there." And I said, "The hood rats?" And there's a bunch of black people just being loud and rowdy. And I said, "Well, they're not really hood, it's just they're us. They're black people like us." And he said, "You know how it is." And sadly, I knew exactly what he was talking about. You see, he then began to explain to me, like just in general, what I had thought and known for quite some time. He said, Africans do not know African Americans at all. They do not like them. Let me watch this. He said, "Hello, brothers." And he signaled the hood rats that he calls them over there. He said, "What's up, cuz? Cracking?" Then he said, "Do you know who the African president is?" And he says, "Nah, I had no idea. I don't know, Shabuki, like. And he did some clicking noise, like, "Oh, that boy, like." And he was like, "Yeah, thank you, brother. You all right?" He said, "Yeah, I know my African history. I'm from the motherland. Peace up, word up." He says, "Word up." See, they are idiots. I'm like, "Oh, yeah." He starts explaining to me about how they don't know African history. They only know African American history. That's all they know. It's a difference. He said American Africans are not good. And I'm like, "What do you mean not good?" He said, "They're not us. They're not cultured like us. They're not us." And then I asked, I said, why would like some Africans come over here because they want to be American? Well, they get American money, send it over to their family. Asians do this too. And there's a bunch of Asians in Africa for some reason. And there are there's a little subsection of Asian people, like Chinese people in Africa, because there's no population laws. It's a whole thing. He was explaining all this lore to me. I didn't know anything about this. I was confused. I was like, "Are you sure this is real?" And he said, "As far as I know, this is real." And I was just learning how his perception was, and it got me thinking, why is it that way? Why don't Africans like African Americans? Can someone explain that to me? Why?
African Americans don't have a culture. Africa.
We just don't take nothing serious, do we? And who all watched the entire video? But me. Who read the caption under the video, other than me. Cause that girl ain't been no goddamn Africa no more than I done been in damn Africa now. The damn water bag. And that goddamn weed all the way up her goddamn eyelids. Like, that shit was accurate. But that accent started getting real chopped and screwed at the end of that damn video. It was like, bring dignity. We outside at the village.
I watched this video of this African lady raised in Kenya education system, and she was saying how, like, growing up in the school system, they were very confused about the little bit that they taught them about Black Americans and slavery. They were so confused. And she said that they keep us ignorant to each other's suffering, Black Americans and Africans. They keep us ignorant to each other's suffering, to create division. So now here we have the Africans coming over to America, and America possibly about to open up to the Africans our money, the money that belongs to Black Americans. The ignorance that they keep both parties with not understanding the other people's suffering. This lady was saying how, even when she visited America, she did not understand us because she did not understand what our ancestors have endured, some of our ancestors. Now, with further education and knowledge of the American history, now she sees us. And I believe this goes on with any race, not just Africans versus Black Americans. I believe the reason we treat everyone the way we do is because we lack understanding. We lack understanding of each other. The Chinese lack understanding of the Africans. The Africans lack understanding of Black Americans. Black Americans lack understanding of Islanders. Like, we all just lack understanding. We lack understanding due to our lack of proximity to one another. If we all were in more proximity to each other, if we all were closer with one another, where we shared stories, shared experiences, and brought people into our lives, we would have better understanding of each other. And we would see each other more on a human level than divided by.
Let me give y'all my motherfucking 2 cents about this African American and African beef. Now, I'm Gen X, okay? Back in the 1960s, when these Africans used to come over here, they would have to watch this video and they would get schooled on why not to fuck with us. And that video contained all the violence that was going on, the drugs, the gun violence, movements with Dr. Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, and etc. Now, with that being fucking said, y'all came over here, y'all got help, okay? They helped y'all asses the fuck out. They didn't help our asses the fuck out. If you got to know one of us, y'all would see that we was cool motherfuckers. We was alright, not what the YT people told y'all we was like. Now, like anybody else who comes over here, y'all come over here and y'all can establish businesses, go to school, these things that y'all can do, but us, we can't do. Now, the YT people over in Africa, they was treating y'all like shit, okay? Just like in my home country, here in America, they was treating us like shit, okay? Now, when y'all came over here, y'all seen the video, and then y'all seen how so well the YT people, helped y'all out, helped the brother or sister out, They was giving y'all visas. They was giving y'all basically a free education. They was helping y'all with housing, food stamps. You could eat, especially if you came from a poor part of Africa, okay? You come over here, you got clothes, you got shoes, you got good food, you got a place to lay your head. From over there where you were, you come over here, you thinking you rich, okay? In the ghetto slums of America. Us, we thought we was living in poverty. You had running water, you had electricity, you had a refrigerator, you had a telephone. You were happy with the shit you had, and we was fucking nuts, okay? Now, y'all come over here and get treated like This is the good life. But us, that same education that you got to go get your doctorate, we got to pay thousands of dollars for it. You get it basically no cost because you were an immigrant. This wasn't your land. You got all the things that we could not get. Okay, now you thinking you living a good life over here with these YT people, but the YT people over there, they're making y'all do stuff like dig, mine, not paying y'all nothing, y'all living in poverty. I remember the times when I was in elementary school, they used to show us the videos of, y'all babies with big bellies, flies all around them, no shoes, walking around in that sandy dirt, ladies with no bras on, they naked, and, they sitting there eating some white stuff or rice, and that's all they had to eat and drinking dirty water, and they say they was getting worms, and we was going around door to door with our little box, it said save the children, and we had collect money to send back over there to Africa. We was doing that for y'all over here. Now I remember there were times we were raising millions of dollars for y'all as kids and the adults. We would sing. We had to go outside of the school, hold hands and sing We Are the World. Michael Jackson and all the celebrities, Diana Ross and whoever, got together and wrote a song, We Are the World, to raise all that money for Africans, okay? Now, y'all got your ass in the air. Y'all come over here, try to degrade us. Oh, how come we can come over here and get all this and y'all can't? Just like when you go back over there and in your country, you can't get all the damn things neither. Okay, you face some obstacles over there in your own country with the YT people, and we do the same thing over here. So don't come over here and try to degrade us and what we're going through over here. See, we wasn't mad at y'all when y'all started disrespecting us, putting 2 and 3 people in our head in the braiding shops, messing our braids up, talking about us in your own language, putting roots on our head, hair falling out, cutting our hair out while y'all was braiding our hair. We wasn't even mad at that. Y'all was doing that for a very long time, 20 plus years. Have it help with the our edges falling out in them braiding shops. Yes, I said it, because y'all will braid our hair too goddamn tight, okay? For one, we like it tight, but not that goddamn tight. We got bumps all around our goddamn head. We was even okay if you were thinking we were lazy and we was all these things or whatever. We did not care, cause you know why? We know we wasn't them type of people. You know what was the straw that broke the camel's back? Y'all took our festival. They gave it to y'all. Excuse me, I got the burps. Okay, cool. But when you try to hop your ass on our money, our reparations, that's one thing you don't do is fuck with a black person money. That's why you got all the beef you got right now. Because you jumped your ass on our reparations, okay? And then you try to put y'all first and put us at the back half of it. Like we didn't fight for all that shit over here in this motherfucking country. It would be just like this. If we came over there and we went down Congo and all the minerals and stuff that y'all have, we say, oh, we gonna set up an organization where we gonna try to get reparations, get some money back for our people in Congo and include ourselves in it. Okay? We're not gonna do that. That's y'all shit. Y'all keep y'all shit over there, we keep our shit over here. Okay, our ancestors went through too much. Too much. This is our land. We know that. They call us black, Negro. Oh, they done changed our name so many times. We just be going along with the flow. But what you don't know about us, you will never know. If you haven't figured it out by now, we don't care what people say. We care about people's actions. And your actions spoke. And now y'all want to put Jamaicans in it, Dominicans in it. They ain't got nothing to do with this. They don't have nothing to do with this. And y'all saying, oh, y'all going to be back braiding in our shops. No, we're not. No, we're not. We will let that shop close down. Because one thing my mama told me, don't let people play in your hair. Your hair is your crown. See, this generation like going to y'all and getting their hair done. They love it. They're going to go to y'all and get y'all their hair done. And guess what, ladies? Since this boycott is going on, they're going to look at you like, oh, you the dumb one that want to come. I'm going to put some root work in your head. On you. Okay? They could take some of that hair home of yours. Oh, and root work, there it is. Yes, I said it. None of them play. Nobody playing my hair. Don't play in my hair. I don't wear fake nails. You know, I don't do none of that. I just throw on a little makeup and I'm good. I got locks. And even before I had locks, guess what? They still didn't play in my hair. I did my own goddamn hair. And if I was going somewhere special, it was only one person did my hair. God rest her soul. And ain't nobody else been in my head since but my loctician. And I practically raised that baby. So guess what? Y'all Africans, stay out this. This is not y'all fight. Y'all not getting this money. And you know what? A lot of y'all businesses were struggling before this. Yes, they were. And they're gonna struggle even more to the point they're gonna be shut down. And then y'all just gave us a wake-up call. All you did was light fire under our ass because guess what? Now you got a black young lady, you know, African-American young lady who said, oh, they can get a business without having a license and do all this, that, and the third. I know where I can get some money from. And guess what? Your shop that was just open is closed now. Guess what they're going to do? Next thing you know, that's going to be Keisha's shop, Tasha's shop, Samantha's shop, Cynthia's shop, hell, LaQuisha's shop. Don't get it twisted. That little bakery, them little stores y'all have with all that stuff that come over here from y'all country, guess what it's going to be? A herbal shop, a soul food shop, a barber shop. Don't get it twisted. Because see, one thing which y'all fail to realize, we like to mind our business, stay in our own lane until you keep fucking with us. And we're at the point where United States and other people just keep fucking with us. And we're waking up spiritually. So you better know what? Stop fucking with us. You poke the bear, he's bound to do something. He's bound to do something. This is not hate. This is all coming from love. Don't believe the hype in what you see on TikTok. Because, yeah, we black, but we're a sun-kissed, the original people that been here on this earth. Don't get it fucking twisted.
Hi, all. Yesterday I did a post that was as a result of what happened at the Jubilee 20, where Amanda Seales faced 20 black conservatives who displayed an attitude that got me thinking about how we as Africans still behave in America, where we don't recognize the struggles of the African American before we came here, and how those struggles made it possible for Africans to be able to live a life that is stable here in America. I was shocked at the number of reactions I got to the post. And I just have to say, thank you to everyone who heard me, who accepted my apology. Yeah, I had to apologize for my stand when it comes to my dealings with my African American brothers and sisters. But I need to explain something to them as well, because I think the time for us to having the conversation, the real conversation amongst us, is now. Someone said, oh, it might be too late. I don't think so. I don't think so. We have to recognize the fact that just as slavery was the order of the day here in America, where blacks were taken through the most gruesome experience that is unimaginable by the Africans back in Africa, the Africans themselves were colonized by the same white masters. Yes, they were slave masters here, they were colonial masters back in Africa. They also went through some experiences that has formed an opinion about who their brothers here are, because they were tutored to have that mindset. No African school, be it high school, college, we call them universities, was exposed to the destructive element that slavery was and still is in the Americas, sorry. The only time we ever had a glimpse of it was watching Roots, the movie or the film Roots. And of course it was a film. It wouldn't cover the deep rooted ills that were perpetrated on black people during that era. I think I only heard about Jim Crow era maybe when I was in my 50s. Didn't even know anything about all of this. There was so much about the black American struggles that was unknown and still is unknown to Africans, because they were not told any of the stories. They were not exposed to the stories. They didn't have access to the books that could have educated them enough to understand the struggles of the African American. The way African Americans had that exposure, the blacks in Africa didn't have that privilege. And that's a fact. To make matters worse, they were brainwashed whilst the colonialists were on ground to make sure that if they ever get the chance to come here, they are not to associate with the blacks who live in America or any part of the Americas. And it was so easy to do. Remember, they were the colonizers. Knowledge about the Americas that the Africans had access to was what they were told by these colonizers about how the Africans, after having crossed the seas, are no longer like them. That as they landed in the Americas, they became violent people, dangerous to be people they would want to associate with. As a matter of fact, many were made to believe that when you walk the streets where black people are, the possibility of being killed is like 90-something%. So you need to stay away from black people because that's how dangerous they've been painted to Africans to be. And when you don't have knowledge, lack of knowledge is like death itself. When you are not privy to the knowledge that you as African Americans have, when an African has no inkling of what your experience has been and how it led to the emancipation of your people to even enjoy what Africans have been exposed to now have to enjoy. When we don't have that knowledge, what do you think would be the reaction or the reaction you would get from an African who has all his life been told lies about who the African American really is by their colonial masters? That's what they've been told. I have a bachelor's degree in English arts, and history was my minor. I never was taught anything about the African American experience, about African Americans, civil rights people, nothing. Most of the teachings was more like circled around white people coming into Africa, colonizing. There was a total blackout of the African American experience, African Americans in the Americas, the experience. None of that was taught. It was totally blacked out. So, my minor in history exposed me to a limited knowledge of the African American experience and history. So really, that's where the problem started from. Lack of knowledge. My people perish for lack of knowledge, and that's why the division is there, because the average African is a good-hearted person. We always want to assimilate properly, but when you've been so brainwashed and fear has been implanted in you about someone who looks like you, it's going to take a lot of work to reprogram the mind of such a person. And that's why I think it's never too late to start having the conversation about what we all have been told and how we need to work on that. It's going to start gradually. It will happen. And I know that strategy by the colonialists was deliberate. Now I know that. Because a unified African American with their African brothers in Africa will spell danger to those who are so hell-bent on watching them fight a battle of identity, even as we speak. Once again, I want to apologize to my African American brothers and sisters for how Africans who live in the diaspora have continued to display their ignorance of not understanding that there was a struggle before the victory, at least that we have to have allowed immigrants have a place to thrive in America.
A video a couple of days ago talking about the two most racist things I heard in high school when I first moved here, but I just want to say there's nothing more racist than Africans towards African Americans. First of all, Africans think they are like better in a lot of ways. It's not me. I just know some Africans, some like pure Africans that were born there and spent so many years in Africa. And the stuff they be saying behind African Americans are crazy. Making fun of their culture, making fun of the way they dress. I don't even think I can say some of the things.
A late morning right now, but I still want to get up and talk to you. I read a comment today that called me a pretendian because I've been getting attacked by a bunch of Africans like, well, you don't love your own people. Bitch, I'm not African. You ever think about it? Why are black people the only people in the world that they say came from one place? Think about what I'm saying. If you look at Asian people, they come from Korea, Japan, China, Thailand, formerly known as Siam. You know what I'm saying? They all got they all got their own origin shit, right? You look at white folks, you don't confuse a Russian with an Italian, do you? Right? But when you look at black people, African, which is crazy because if you look at history, the indigenous of every country was brown people. But let's get past that though. I want to make sure we clear. Let's bring this right now. We don't got to look into history. We don't got to talk about no conspiracy theories, none of that. We can just talk about the 80s and 90s. Listen, when I was in elementary school, all black people only came from 3 places. I'm not saying what the school taught. I'm saying what we learned by dealing with each other. You will learn that some black kids had African parents and they came from Africa. They know exactly where they came from. They had their customs. Some black people were from the Caribbean. Now I'm talking about straight up. Then you had the next black people, the ones who all their grandparents was Native American. Tell me if I'm lying. Almost every black person you knew, man, I got some Indian in my family. I got some Indian in my family. You know what it is? Because they got some Indian in their fucking family. They family were the Indians. You understand what I'm saying? It's crazy. Now I know some of you thinking like, wait a minute, you Jamaican. Let's make sure we fix this. My grandmother, my mother's side of the family were known as the Natchez Indians, right? They were kicked off. And white people told them that they were no longer allowed to be in a reservation when the Native Americans to this day are still fighting for us to be back on the reservation, right? Let's get past that, right? My father's side of the family is Jamaican, right? But not the Jamaican you think. When you think Jamaican, you instantly think like Africans got off the boat and they didn't want blah, 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 blah. No, when the Africans got off the boat, my people was already in Jamaica. Yeah, bruh. When you go to Jamaica and you see these people, they look Chinese as fuck. They short. They feet look like hands. This what my family look like, G. When I went out there, I'm serious as shit. They feet look like hands. It's crazy as shit. But this is what they look like. So now you telling me with these two mixes, I'm still African? I'm an African American? How, bitch? How? Same thing with the Hispanics. Hispanics say weird shit to, especially the Mexicans. They say shit to us like, black Americans don't know their culture, bro. Yeah, they call each other Hector and all that shit. They don't know their culture, bro. They will say this and then say a bunch of shit in Spanish. They'll talk about us in Spanish and say we don't know our culture. They'll say that in Spanish. Like Spanish is Mexican or some shit. Like, for real? Like, you act like you had Spanish before Cortez. Stop playing with me. You act like you hablo castellana before, motherfucker. Stop playing with me. Stop playing with me, G. Hispanio. The name of Hispanic is just proof that you belong to Spain. You were colonized. You don't know shit. And let's be real with you. The real true Chicano is a brown motherfucker like me, and they being mean to him. Yeah. They treat them rudely because all the other ones just wish they was white. Tell me if I'm lying. Yeah, see, I ain't gonna play with you. You can talk this shit with me. I mean, you see things. I ain't gonna play with you. You can talk that shit to the uneducated Browns that ain't went nowhere. I've traveled the entire world. I've seen that the root of almost every race is brown. You can't play with me. Even the Chinese, even in motherfucking China, they had afros. Shut the fuck up. You can't tell me that I'm from one location. Bitch, this planet is my location. Everything come from me.
Africa are you from? I'm from America. That's what we're saying. Just like
What
a
country in
Jamaica, just
Africa
like
are
a
you
no,
from?
no, no, hold on. Just like somebody from Jamaica, they're not going to say what country in Africa they from. Somebody in Haiti is not going to say what country from. They're going to say they're Haitian.
Because they were closer from, what is it called, the triangular slave
But then
trade.
when you ask them that question, they're not going to have a definitive answer.
That's because they're already in their own community of Caribbeans, the Haitians, Jamaica. They're all like in one bowl, just as
But
far.
Black Americans are in their own bowl as well. Like
I truly believe there needs to be a study done per the obsession with trying to disparage and diminish African Americans within the diaspora. To sit on a podcast in America with an American accent with Black Americans dressed like a Black American woman and tell them that they don't know where they come from or Africans perceive you as such, it really at this point is beyond the scope of sanity. This is the same issue we face with Black Brits, who, same with Africans in this country. They have absolutely no idea of the history of the Americas, and particularly the history of the United States of America. To not understand that Caribbeans are the same exact thing as Americans and then come to America but identify with Caribbeans but then identify with African Americans is the source of the problem. Africans look at the United States of America as a white country, and they look at Americans as being white Americans. And so they look at us and they think we are immigrants the same way that Africans are immigrants in the UK, whereas we are just Black and from America, which happens to be the land of milk and honey, where all immigrants come and immigrate to. So in their view of America, they diminish our existence and they diminish our ethnic group, our culture, and our history. Mind you, African American culture, which is American culture, is the culture that has been exported to the world. I have been to every continent except for Antarctica, and I see pictures of Tupac, I see pictures of Biggie, I hear hip hop playing, I see people dressed like us. So the reach of African American culture is a global one that many other Black cultures haven't reached. She then goes on to paint this broad stroke of African Americans being lazy, and this is a trope that they love to throw out. Take a listen to this.
Africans come to America, they're busting their behinds to get degrees, become doctors, lawyers, and stuff like that. So when Africans look at African Americans, they're like, these people have credit cards. We don't even have credit cards. These people are not even working, and we come here and we busting our asses. And now we're doing this. We're now six figures, and these people have all these years to become all these great jobs and careers, and they're not doing anything. I'm just saying this is what they're saying. Yeah, this is the conversation. It's like y'all have all this time to get free money, free loans, and we don't get that back at home.
Yeah, but
y'all get that when y'all come here, though.
Exactly, and guess what? We're right here, and y'all are still here.
There's a lot of
the absolute gall and audacity of this girl to be in America and say that, well, we come over and we get more money than you, we have more education than you, not understanding you wouldn't even be allowed to be in this country without the fight and the strife of African Americans to fight for their own liberty and their own freedoms. Without African Americans, you wouldn't be able to exist. You wouldn't be able to have a home. You wouldn't be able to have a bank account. You wouldn't be able to vote. The list goes on. So for you to come in and benefit off the backs of what African Americans have done and my ancestors have done, and then to disparage them and to diminish them in their own country is really fucking crazy. You left your country because of economic instability, political instability due to colonialism and the systems that were left in place after the Europeans left. Do you not think that America, the land of the free and the home of the brave, that's a majority white place, didn't put in systems that systematically oppress us till this day? So you come in and you don't have that systematic oppression ingrained in your culture and DNA. So you're able to hustle and do things that most Black Americans can't even fathom. Let's use our brains before we get on podcasts and start talking. Maybe I should start a podcast, honestly, because the people that go on these podcasts, they lack common sense, they lack historical context, they lack nuance, and they lack the ability to think logically. Bye.
I just came here to say that as an African American woman who has always loved African culture, have always wanted to visit Africa, love African people, wanted to date an African man, and married one, and ended up with an African baby daddy. I just want to say to all Africans, why do y'all come to America and date Americans when deep down inside y'all really do not like us? Like, y'all feel like y'all are better than us, y'all feel like y'all are smarter than us. And I think y'all be calling us akatas. Y'all, baby, I didn't even know that this shit is like this. I did not. I did not. But dating an African man and having his baby and dealing with his mama and his sisters and his brother and the uncles over there in Congolese. Baby, when I say this, I mean this from the bottom of my fucking heart. Stop bringing y'all motherfucking asses over here trying to be a part of our culture and get the benefits of the people that come here and then don't really like the people. Like, a lot of y'all are like that. A lot of y'all really will blend in because y'all are black and then will turn around and try to feel as though your country or continent is above the one that you're currently living in. And I just have to say, there is nothing wrong with having pride about your hometown and where you come from. But baby, if you're going to come to somebody else's land feeling like you entitled to everything they get and then try to turn around and feel like you better than them, baby, you need to go back to where you came from. Because a lot of Africans don't realize that you wouldn't be in America if you could get the same benefits in Africa. And that's facts. So y'all might not have been enslaved or experienced slavery or whatever the fuck, but majority of Africa is fucking colonized by fucking Europe. And that's why all y'all want to come to America, because y'all not getting those benefits in y'all country. I don't give a fuck how rich your country is. It's not benefiting of the people. And that's why majority of y'all come to America for the opportunities. And then y'all will turn around and try to shit on African Americans like y'all just the shit and y'all don't even know what the fuck be going on for real. Like, I don't know. I'm sorry if I'm going on a rant, but I just really feel some type of way about Africans. And it's really annoying because it's like, as somebody who used to love the African culture, have been studying this shit since I was in the 5th grade. Like, I've always loved Africa. And to become an adult and date Africans, and a lot of y'all do not even fucking like us. That is so disheartening and saddening as fuck. Like, wow. I thought all skin folk was kinfolk, and baby, that is not the case. And y'all are the biggest perpetrators.
Akata means it's a derogatory word for African Americans in like Igbo language and Yorubas. Like Nigerians go Akata. It's derogatory for those African Americans. It's like called cotton picker or whatever. And
that's what it said. Oh, kata, cotton picker.
Akata means like a cotton picker or something. And it's a shame because African Americans, and I was born in America, so I consider myself that too. It's like they get the brunt of everybody's hatred. Even their own black people that come, because they're from the islands or whatever, they come and they shit on African Americans, which is on all levels.
You know what I just realized just now? That black Americans are not going to hear for the next 4 years. But where are you really from? We're the only ones that ain't got to show no freedom papers.
This is to my black Americans. Why do some of you argue your African ancestral history? It's okay for you to say I'm black American, but you can't argue the history of your ancestors. Ancestrally, you and I are cousins. We should chop it up with love and not allow hatred from the media or whatever tool they're trying to use to divide us. And also, Africa do not in any way, or Africans generally, do not in any way have any form of hatred towards black Americans. We just can't entertain any form of disrespect, any form of belittlement, from anyone. Because Africa is home to all of us. Africa is our home. In fact, I don't call Africa a continent, I call it a community. So it's all love, no hatred, to be honest.
To make Africans the voice of black Americans. Africans with platforms. Check this out.
Acho, who are you to speak for black people? I didn't make myself the spokesperson for black people. Right. I just started talking and people chose to listen.
Why would that be a problem, you think, when people say that? Because I've heard people say that, like, you can't speak for us. Like, what does that mean?
I think
as if you're not us.
I think people are conflating culture and color. The dilemma in America that we're subject to is black based on the color, not exclusively black based on the culture. When I get pulled over by a cop, it's not, oh, you're Nigerian. Right. You look black. I'm 6'2", 240 and black. Right. You feel me? So
I don't want to speak for you, but I would consider me, yourself, I would consider us quote unquote bicultural, because we grew up in two different cultures. Like, facts. People tell me all the time, like, man, you sound like you white. I was like, I grew up in a Nigerian neighborhood. Nigerian household. And
Y'all see how they didn't want to say black Americans, because that's the voice that they were talking about. You cannot be the voice of black Americans as an African, any kind of African. And using this police analogy, you could throw that out the window, because right now ICE is treating all undocumented Latinos and Hispanics the same way. That still don't give Mexicans the right to be the voice of Cubans, and Cubans the right to be the voice of Dominican Republicans, regardless of how the authorities are treating them. They're still their own individual people. White people may have been able to go to Africa and divide your country up and tell you what you can and can't do, but they don't have that authority to tell people their lineage or their nationality. And if you really want to get down to it, Nigerians and Africans have more in common with the Latinos and Hispanics that's being deported out of this country. Because y'all don't have a lineage to this country. And the reason you have a platform is because of Black Americans. So how are you going to turn around and try to be the voice of the foundation, the people that set the foundation for you? That's not how this works. You could be the voice of Nigerian Americans. Yeah, you could speak on that. And let's not talk about when this DEI thing was in place, right? How they will hire or recruit Nigerians from from Nigeria over a Black American just to work in these institutions, just to work in these corporations because they could pay them less. So no, we're not the same. And we don't even get treated the same in this country. So what are you talking about? But y'all see how they trying to run game and try to be the voice of Black Americans. And Godfrey loved to keep Asians in his mouth, especially the Chinese. Chinese are not the voice of Japanese. The Japanese are not the voice of Filipinos. The Filipinos are not the voice of Cambodians. The Cambodians is not the voice of Thai people. And on and on. They're their own groups, regardless of how white authority figures or how white America may treat them.
I watched the viral clip of that bald-headed African dude that was talking to that Haitian lady on his podcast about how Black Americans, we're the only people that don't have a culture, that don't have any value systems, any traditions, any taboos, blah, blah, blah. And I've watched some different takes on this, but I actually have a little bit of a different take. Okay, so my microphone just went out. But anyways, I have a little bit of a different take because listening to that clip made me realize something about the way that Africans view culture and traditions when it comes to Black people. So the reason why Africans say stuff like Black Americans don't have culture, we don't know who we are, we don't know where we come from, is because our culture in America doesn't center Africa. So what I mean by that is, if you look at like the Caribbean and South America, a lot of their culture and traditions mimic cultures or mimic the things that are done culturally in Africa, in different parts of Africa. So they've taken a lot of that African tradition and incorporated it into their cultures down in the Caribbean and in South America. So that's why they're not going to tell them that they don't know who they are, they don't know where they came from, they're lost. They're not going to say that to them because their culture, a lot of their culture resembles that different cultures in Africa. Whereas in America, as Black Americans, most of our culture, especially not mainstream culture, does not resemble anything African. Our culture does not center Africa. I don't think that Africans can really wrap their head around the idea of a group of Black people who just came up, who came up with their own culture that's based off of their own experience and that has absolutely nothing to do with anywhere on the continent of Africa. So in their eyes, it's like, you guys must be lost because you don't center Africa in your culture. You don't center Africa in the things that you do. Nothing that you do resembles African, anything in Africa. You don't resemble, we can't draw any parallels between what you guys are doing in America into Africa. I mean, even if we're just talking about lifestyles, like when you look at Haiti and Nigeria, you're not going to really see too much difference between a city in Haiti and a city in Nigeria. It's still full of scrap metal housing made out of shipping containers. There's extreme poverty in both of those areas, and they really kind of mirror each other in a lot of ways. And even in Jamaica, like certain parts of Jamaica could look similar to somewhere in Ghana or somewhere. So I feel like they have more of like that connection. Like, so I really feel like Africans look at Caribbeans and they see a lot of themselves in the lifestyles of the people there, but they don't see the reflection of themselves in us. And I think that they look at that as like somehow we are lost or we don't have any pride, or because we don't feel connected to Africa. So if we're Black and we don't feel connected to Africa, that means that there's something wrong with us, and that means that we're lost. They say that Black Americans have main character syndrome and we're self-centered, but yet the way that they view culture, and the reason why they tell us that we don't know who we are, we don't have a culture, or we don't have traditions, or we don't, we're just lost, is because our culture doesn't resemble theirs. our culture doesn't center Africa, but somehow we're the main character. But aside from all of that, I don't feel like anybody has the right to tell somebody else that they don't have a culture. I don't like, you don't have a right to speak on somebody, on another group of people's lifestyle. Like you just, and the lady that he was sitting across from, honestly, I just don't think that her elevator goes to the top floor. I don't think that she has the mental bandwidth to engage in a conversation like that. But I feel like a lot of times they pick people like that specifically that they know won't really have no pushback, that don't have the mental capacity to go back and forth with them and actually educate them, because apparently obviously she did not. She just sat there looking like boo-boo the fool and had no rebuttals at all. So, but anyways.
Sweet potatoes, do you put 1 cup of water or do you put 2 cups of water?
What kind of sweet potatoes?
Sweet potatoes, candy yams.
Candy yam? How much sweet potatoes am I making? Feed how many?
Cooking channel? Do you
feed how many people?
1 cup of water, 2 cups of water.
How many people are we feeding? Does it matter?
Nope. 1 cup of water, 2 cups.
Well, I'm born and raised African. I'm not African American, so I don't know y'all culture. But if I were to make it,
Sweet potatoes, you don't put no water in it. I'm gonna have to pass. But
wait, so good.
So you wanna steal?
So y'all both gonna walk away? You gonna walk? Okay. Yeah. What? That's slave food. I don't do that, babe. I'm not a slave. I was never a slave. I don't know how slaves cook. I was never a slave. I know where my grandfather came from, my great grandfather, and where all their ass came from. Your ass don't know. You listen.
Black Americans have been revolting against white supremacy since 1526. There's not a time we ain't put belt to ass since they been here. Slave revolts. See what I'm saying? Black Wall Street, the Black Panther Party, Civil Rights Movement. We're the only groups of blacks that have been fighting against white supremacy the longest. We don't know what y'all do. Y'all don't do nothing. Y'all don't fight against your white supremacy. You run away. When the KKK came out, we came out with the Minister of Defense. There has not been a time that we haven't put belt to ass. Y'all, on the other hand, you came on here and came on your knees. You got on your knees and you begged for a card. You begged for a green card and a visa, jit. That's beneath anything. To the same group of people, who's extracting Africa right now. Where they do that at? Right, you should be ashamed. Instead, y'all bragging about it?
Yeah. And look, you know that I'm gonna use different.
Anyways, guys, welcome back, and I hope you guys have seen all of those clips that I actually have for you guys. And that is why sometimes I ask myself, where literally is this hatred coming from? I feel one of the actual reasons why a lot of black people do not appreciate black Americans enough is mostly from this orientation where they're actually growing up. I've said it on several occasions that in Africa, we tend to see white people as people that are more glorious than we blacks. We tend to see white people as people that are more honorable, people that know exactly what they are doing. While in real sense, growing up now, we're now realizing that every single thing that we've been taught in schools, every single thing that we've been educated about, they are all fabricated lies. I can tell you for a whole fact that as an African person, there is this spark and a different reaction when you see a white person in Africa, for Africans that literally do not know anything about history. Not for someone like me that is more elaborate with what have really happened to Black American. So all this hate forwarded to Black Americans are not even supposed to be. In fact, if there is anybody that they should channel all of this energy to, it should be the white folks. People that have literally enslaved people that look like us, people that have literally stripping off and also keep taking away, keep being highly racist profile, should be where it should be channeled to. So I don't know how to tell this to African immigrants or how to get this video down to them. It is high time you guys learn and relearn what you should or should not do to any Black American, honestly, because with the way things are getting every single day, it is looking more like the more we're trying to create attention, the more a lot of things is actually going sour. Black Americans are people that are very loved that I know. Black Americans are people that will literally come true for you. Black Americans are people that are ready to support. So if you guys are channeling all of this hatred, all of this bad attitude towards them, saying they are jobless, saying they are lazy, saying they don't have anything to do, saying their work is just to be like, their work is just giving birth, blah, 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 and so on and so forth. They are all chances of one night stand. Why do you think that these people can literally come true for you when you need them? That is why in any case that is happening, if Black Americans are saying they are not talking, they are not contributing, they are just holding their peace, honestly, I will never blame them for saying that. Because I should not be the only one to keep making you happy while you on your own end has made it possible that you will never do anything to please me. Or you have made it possible that you will never do anything that will profit me. Even in relationship, if it is just one person that is doing all of the stress, putting all of the effort, showing all of the care, and so on and so forth, it tends to get frustrating. Talk more of people that has literally suffered for years. So if you're watching this as a black person living in the US and you are still having all of this hatred towards the foundational Black American, stop it. It's not making sense. Stop it. Stop it. Without these people, you will not be there. And if you think your country is good enough, go back to your country. If you think Nigeria is good enough for you left, come back to Nigeria. If you think Kenya, Ghana, South Africa, Ethiopia, name it, if you think it's more better, go back. If you think you cannot respect people that actually put in the work, the effort, people that actually put in their strength for United States to be what it is today, go back to your country. Go back. It's as simple as ABCD. Nobody's forcing you down there. Or better still, if you think you can respect these people, why not stay on your lane? Because one thing I've seen with these African diasporas is they don't want to help or listen to what Black Americans are saying. But whenever they have issues, they want Black Americans to come true for them in quotes. They want Black Americans to stand as their savior. They want Black Americans to do every single thing in their power to rescue them. Things are not being done that way. You do for me, I do for you. That is how life is being balanced. But anyway, let me know what you think about this video. Credit belongs to original creators of every single clips and stitches we have in our today's episode. If you haven't subscribed, what are you waiting for? Do it, subscribe, like this video, drop me your comments, and lastly, do not forget to share. And honestly, a very big thank you to every single one of you supporting this channel, dropping commentaries, liking my videos. I do not take you guys for granted. You guys are absolutely the best. And to every one of you joining my membership and also sending super thanks, I really do appreciate you guys from the depth of my heart. Anyway, subscribe, like, comment, and share, and let me know what you think about this video. And yes, with that being said, with no further ado, I like how I say in my videos, I'm going to be saying bye. I'll see you guys in my next one. For now, bye guys. I love you guys. Mwah.